All right, I think we should be recording. What's crack-a-lackin', friends? Thanks for coming over to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about sort of like a follow-up video, follow-up thought to one of my previous videos where I talked about the most overlooked relationship that you and I have, and that is our relationship with ourselves. How we relate to ourselves is so important, and yet it is often the most overlooked subject. We don't talk about having a relationship with ourselves. We don't talk about what it means to be kind to ourselves and what it means to be kind and patient and gracious and compassionate. And so what ends up happening is it feeds into all kinds of patterns and things that are just not healthy. And many symptoms start showing up, such as depression and anxiety and fear and double-mindedness, confusion. All of those things can be a result of not being on your own team, so to say, and not loving yourself, not being your own friend, but enemy. And so I wanted to come on here and kind of follow up on that real quick, and just mention that when God speaks to us, it has a way of increasing love, joy, and peace, and gentleness, patience, kindness, and all those things in our life, in our lives. It's very important to understand that God's attitude towards us is very kind and gentle. It's not what maybe your earthly father or your earthly mother presented and put on the table. Um, when God speaks to us, it has a way of increasing love, faith, and hope in us. When God talks to us and speaks to us, it has a way of increasing love, power, and a sound mind in us. And so there's Bible for that. And so understanding that is so important. I know it helped me tremendously on my journey when I started understanding that um, God is not the author of confusion. And the way God speaks to us is not through doubt and through fear. God is not the author of confusion. Doubt actually creates a lot of confusion often, and is a telltale sign that God is not in it. He's not talking to you. God operates by and through revelation. He reveals things through you, and he unveils things to you. He gives you understanding, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. And he doesn't use doubt and confusion in order to bring his point across. Yet, how many of us feel that way? And how many of us are double minded and confused and anxious, and we don't know what's going on and how God is talking to us? We may even feel like God's not even speaking to us unless we feel afraid. You know what I'm saying? Um, I've been there, done that. I've been through that. And I'm not excluded from that even today, because every single day I have to face my fears. Every single day I have to continue facing new fears, perhaps, but still, fear is still a thing. All of those things are a thing, and they're going to be a thing. I'm talking about depression, anxiety, fear. All of those things are things that we come across on our journey. But the way we face them, the way we relate to them, is that may change over time as we heal, as we grow, as we learn. And so just understanding that God's attitude is kind, that God's attitude is loving, the fruit of the Spirit is the way God relates to us, is that alone, understanding that is so helpful. And so what we need to start practicing and what we need to start doing is we need to start applying the fruit of the Spirit to our own lives. We need to start relating to ourselves with love. Yeah. God is love. 1 Corinthians 13. God is love. He is love. It's not something he has, it's what he is, it's who he is. And well, actually that's 1 John 4, for example. But 1 Corinthians 13 says that love is patient and love is kind. And then it says a number of other things. So love is patient and kind. So what I want to encourage you and me to think about and to kind of ponder is, if God is patient and kind, how can I be that to myself and for myself? And how can I be that with myself? How can I be kind with myself today? How can I be patient with myself today? Um, when you learn to be kind with yourself and to yourself, and when you learn to be patient with yourself, it's a learning process, it's a journey. what starts happening is your life becomes more stable. You become more stable, you become more single-minded, whereas in the past you may have been very double-minded, indecisive, you don't know which path to take, you lack a lot of confidence, but now you become more and more single-minded, you're able to make decisions, you're able to see that God is not obsessing over your situation and over your decisions. He has perfect peace. So now when you make a decision and it actually turns out in your favor, and it may have taken a lot of facing your fears and overcoming resistance and walking through resistance through the valley of the shadow of death in order to make that decision, because it took a lot. Once you make that decision, you may be able to see that the fruit of the decision was actually very good. It was a good and healthy decision, but oftentimes we can only see that retrospectively. So what happens is you learn to make decisions, and then um, based on the fruit, you're able to adjust and see for yourself. Was this a good decision? Was this not a good decision? But you're not stuck in indecisiveness and passivity and avoidance about what decisions you need to make. Because now, as you become more and more single-minded, confusion starts to leave you. It's kind of the other way around too. Confusion starts to leave you. You become more single-minded, whereas you were double-minded. And now what happens is you have more peace, more confidence. You are able to face whatever you're going through right now with greater confidence and calmness, and you are able to make decisions without spinning and spinning and spinning, without spiraling and tapping out and going into your avoidance and passivity behaviors. So I just wanted to address that God's attitude towards us is very kind. It's very gentle. It's loving. And so what we need to start doing is we need to start cultivating that same attitude with and towards ourselves. As you learn to be kind with yourself and as you learn to be patient with yourself, great things are going to start happening. You will feel, again, more confidence, more peace, and overall more joy. Your joy may have been taken out of your life and stolen from you because you've listened to thoughts that instilled fear and doubt in your mind and confusion. So you're actually going to take your joy back from the enemy. And yeah, one thing that really, really, really helped me was understanding the following concept, that fear is to the enemy what faith is to God. I'll say that again. Fear is to the enemy what faith is to God. It's an honor problem. If I'm afraid, that means I honor the words of the enemy more than I honor the word of God, because God literally said that he has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power and of love, of sound mind. He has not, he doesn't use fear to speak to me, first of all. So if I'm afraid, maybe I've been listening to the wrong voices, and maybe I've been honoring the wrong voices. So God's voice, if I honor God's voice, it's going to instill the fruit of the Spirit in my life more and more. I'm going to have more joy, more peace, more love. I'm going to feel more patience and gentleness and kindness and all those things. If I listen to the voice of the enemy, it's actually going to create more fear, more doubt, more double-mindedness, more anxiety and depression and all of those things. So I kind of had to come to a point where I say, all right, I'm no longer going to do things out of fear and guilt. I'm no longer going to heed that voice, that guilt and that fear that tries to captivate me and put me in shackles and force me to do whatever it wants me to do. I had to get to a point where I'm like, I'm done with that, and kind of stand up for myself, because other people would not necessarily do it for me. I had to do that decision myself, make that decision myself, and say, all right, enough is enough. I'm done listening to fear and guilt, because that's not what God uses to speak to me. And now I'm going to start listening to thoughts that build faith, hope, and love into my life, that build love, power, and a sound mind in my life. And so that was a game changer for me when I understood that if I'm afraid, that means I am probably honoring the wrong voices. And when I increase in love and peace and joy and all those things, that is an indicator that I've been listening to the right voice. I've been giving heed to the right voices, and I've been giving, honor to the right voices. Because it is not God's will for us to live in torment, man. And I love what John wrote when he said, that fear has torment. If you've ever been afraid like I have, You can relate to that. You can relate to the fact that fear has torment. I've struggled with torment, literally torment, many, many times in my life due to fear, due to double-mindedness and indecisiveness, due to depression and anxiety and not knowing what's going on. And so um, fear has torment. And so if you feel tormented and afraid, then we have to maybe look at our relationship with God and with ourselves, and understand that God doesn't use fear and torment to speak to us and to deal with us, because we're his children. No good father would use fear and guilt and manipulation and torment to get their children to give heed to um, their father, to him. If a good father wouldn't use fear to get his children to listen to him. And I'm not trying to like point fingers here at dads that maybe at a time or another have used fear to get their children to do something. I'm not really talking about that per se, but just as a general modus operandi, God doesn't use fear to just get us to do things. That's not what he does. He can give us discernment. He can give us discretion and wisdom, and he can give us understanding. We may be able to understand certain warnings, but even those come with great love and with compassion and understanding, and not confusion and double-mindedness. And so God deals with his children as sons, and yeah, he corrects them, he teaches them diligently, but he's also very understanding and compassionate and meek, and he wants us to rest in him. Um, he's not in the business of um, of using fear to get us to do things, and so that understanding is huge. He actually wants us to come to him and to rest in him, as Jesus said in Matthew 11:28 through 30. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you what? A list of things to do? No, I will give you rest. I will give you rest, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And many people do not really know how to connect to that. I, for a long time, didn't really know how to connect to that, because I felt such pressure and such guilt and fear to do things for God, for his kingdom. And so when I started moving away from that fear-based living, performance-based, pressure-based living, um, I started leaning more and more into his rest, which gave me the strength to actually do things for him and for his kingdom. But it's more like doing it with him, and with him for his kingdom. But it comes out of love. It's not motivated by fear and guilt, but it comes out of love, and that's an entirely different way of living. So just wanted to encourage you, start giving heed to thoughts that build faith into your life, and faith, hope, and love, and do not pay attention to those thoughts that try to take you captive and put you in shackles, and put you in a state of mind where you just feel afraid and tormented, um, because that's not the way of life God has intended for us to live. So I hope this was a blessing to you. If it was, please share it with a friend or a family member, or somebody that you go to church with, or whatever, somebody you know, and leave a like down below if this was encouraging, and subscribe to my channel if you do not want to miss any further videos on topics such as identity and shame and anxiety and fear and guilt and pressure and condemnation and all of those things, and how to break free from those, heal from those, overcome those battles, and live an abundant life full of love, grace, mercy, and peace. With that being said, hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see and catch you in the next one. See you later.